getting started on doing the replacing that back well area, whatever they call that. The old one wouldn't fit because I put in just a little bit thicker deal here, so what I'm doing is reproducing it with wood. So like you can see, I had to kind of trim this down flush with a jigsaw here. I'll have some kind of a little less than 1/4 inch plywood that'll go all over and fit up into here, across here, and then in this piece, and then I'll have a separate strip coming this way, and then do it all over again over here. And then I'm also going to attach to it a 3/4 inch underneath, so that I can drill into it, especially over here where I drill out the holes for all the power lines and steering cable and all that. So before I install this, I'll be doing that, and I'll probably be taking those parts, I'll be fitting them out, and then fiberglassing them, and then re-putting them on here, and I'll probably fiberglass this all in also. I'm not going to bore you with details watching me do all these special board cuts, but I thought I'd just show you what I've done so far. I've had to add these in because I want, you know, extra support coming across here when I put this new top board on here that'll fiberglass onto that. I've still yet to put the 3/4 inch underneath it. I'll show you how that looks later. I've got that board, I've got all this ready to, I'm just waiting for this to set up. But while this is setting up, I've been working on my one of my support areas for the back deck, and because I'm not going to drill any holes, you know, in the side of my boat, you know, to do these things, I'm figuring out how I can use things on the inside, like, you know, this area is going to help support these. I'm not sure why these were in here, but they're going to make good for support. So and that live well, I'm going to use it, you know, to support that board back there, and then I'm going to bring a board across the top, you know, up here that'll notch onto this, and then have its own support boards going across too, so that I can put the plywood on it. And I'll still have to build other support boards for the seat area. I'm going to add boards in here for the support of this area here, because the deck will be on here, but I'm going to have one of those folding open parts here so that I can get into the battery and the gas tank. So this one's my most complex thing going on right now. I've had to notch out and go underneath there. I've had to notch out to go over that. I'll eventually run that on, you know, hook on into there and go up to make some kind of, I don't know if it'll make big enough for a rod locker, but it'll at least have a place for storage. And then of course I've got to build another support system across here for the deck. And then there's going to be seats mounted into it down lower here, and it'll have a pitch on it going up to it. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm having to put together a bunch of, you know, special fitted type boards. It's very time consuming and boring to look at, or boring to have showed you, so I'm just kind of showing you after the fact. I wanted to show you in the early stages before I get it installed. I'm going to use this. You can see it's got a, you know, a little bit of a bevel there. I'm going to use this as an above deck draining system from the front of the wherever the front of the deck part, you know, for the seat comes. This thing's going to get mounted in here all the way back. I'm going to have to notch that board around it, and then I'll seal off the sides of it, and any boards that come in here will have to round over it too, and it's going to come flush, and I'm going to seal it off so that if there's any water that comes in this lower area of the boat, most people have a little drain hole and run it out but I've got a completely sealed system here. So I decided that what I would do is give it a place to run. You know, the water can get and then funnel its way back to the bilge area. I'm going to quickly show y'all how I'm figuring out how I'm going to build this back deck to fit this boat. As you can see, I've got a seat in here, and hopefully it's pretty close to the ones I order. And I've got it stacked up on a bunch of boards down here. I got it to about 6 inches or so. That's what felt like a comfortable height, you know, sitting at that console. And then I also kind of got the idea where I, you know, wanted it back from the console. So I've got it sitting there. Now what I'm going to do is, and I'll show you this real quick. Let me just show you. You could see that I came off the existing back part of the deck. This part's going to have the flipping, you know, part so I can get in here, and I'm extending it on out and it's going to have to, you know, come out be 6 inches here, have its little back area, you know, and go to the ground, and then I can mount my seats on that, and then it'll have a certain height, and then I'll put my top board and everything. But now this fitting alone, you saw on here, just gives me that overall depth. Now when I do actually put in boards like this, I'm going to have to allow for my plywood that I'm going to have in the facing of the frame. So, and probably going to give a little allowance for the plywood on top. I'm currently building the box that's going to sit underneath the 2 seats, and I'll have to find a way to mount the seats to it. But it's going to finish out around 6 inches, and it's going to lift me up off that floor, and then the seat will put me into somewhat normal seating. But here's what it looks like for now. What I've got is I've got just some scrap 5/8 board that I'm making 15.5 by 38.5, you know, the dimensions I want sitting underneath it that are, you know, suited for that boat. And I've also notched out on front and back here for that PVC pipe that I cut in half that I'm going to use for drainage for that lower area in the boat. So when I set it in there, I'm getting ready to put my bottom on it, and it'll come, the bottom will stop. I'm going to have it in 2 pieces so that it doesn't conflict with that pipe running underneath. So I'll have a piece here and a piece back here, you know, on both sides, and that'll leave that gap for the pipe. I've been using some resin putty I made up down here to go in and fill every hole that I can see. I don't want to leave any chance that any water will get in there and start rotting out these pieces of wood. And then after that sets up, I'll be able to go and give this all a good painting with some of that protective enamel paint.